And we are back. Hello, it is Topical Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. Steve Sipress here on an uncharacteristically somewhat chilly, a little bit rainy, overcast, cloudy day here in otherwise way too hot and way too sunny Phoenix, Scottsdale, Arizona area. Hope it's fantastic wherever you are as well. And so I received a ton of feedback to my message of yesterday about the importance of putting your best foot forward, of doing everything you can to win the game of whatever you want to call it. Persuasion, influence, sales, manipulation, marketing, advertising, whatever you call it. Negotiation, goes by all kinds of names. Getting somebody else to do what you want them to do. And in the words of our president, Dwight David Eisenhower, the president when I was born, who said that leadership is getting other people to do what you want them to do because they want to do it. So that's a really advanced definition of persuasion, sales, influence, marketing, advertising, whatever you want to call it. And we had a great example in the blow-up heard round the world. It's still being talked about, so it's still topical here for Topical Tuesday. The Zelensky and Trump and J.D. Vance showdown in the Oval Office in the White House that went absolutely off the rails haywire. And a big reason was because Zelensky did not realize, did not believe, did not feel that he was in the position where he had to persuade Donald Trump to do what he wanted him to do, to give more money, to prolong the war. He had to persuade him to. He did not have to persuade the previous president or the UN or the Congress or EU or pretty much anybody else. But Trump, pretty much the whole time he was running for president and then becoming president, one of the biggest things he talked about was, I'm going to end the war, I'm going to end the war, I'm going to end the war. He did that for his whole first 4 years in office. Clearly, he not only talks about, Trump, I'm saying, not only talks about disliking war, but wanting to end it quickly, but he actually does it. He did it in his first term by taking down ISIS and avoiding any kind of a conflict with our big enemies of Iran and North Korea, China, Russia, whatever. Trump hates military wars, loves trade wars, loves throwing chaos into the marketplace. That's another message for another day. But here, it's all about Zelensky walking in and just getting blasted because he walked in taking for granted. You ever done this? Have you, in business, in your advertising or your marketing, your sales, persuasion, influence with your prospects, your employees, your business partners, your vendors, anybody, if you approach a situation which is just about all of them, that requires some level of influence, persuasion, negotiation, sales, whatever you want to call it, to get somebody to do what you want them to do. Did you ever make the mistake like Zelensky did of taking it for granted and just going in and not dressing the part, not acting the part, arguing, making faces, crossing your arms, disagreeing? What the heck? It's not going to influence anybody. You better really have like the irresistible offer of the century to do all or any of that nonsense and still get the deal done, make the sale, which Zelensky did not. And I want to add one thing in that I talked about with a lot of people, that pretty much anyone knows anything about sales was chiming in and thanking me for the message and agreeing and this and that, and adding in some things. And a couple of things came up. Number one, also the fact that I can relate to, that Zelensky is a short man. So I have always been short. In fact, way back in grade school, whenever they lined us up for photos in order of height, I was always at the end, or for class or any kind of group pictures, I was always in the front row because I was smallest, and bigger ones are behind me. Like I see, looking back as a kid, I see all the pictures of like any time in school or a camp or a sports team. There I was, the smallest one on the end, in the front, smallest one. So I can relate to Zelensky coming in and being small. Whenever I'm giving a presentation or one-on-one, one-to-many from the stage, one-on-one, nose-to-nose, toes-to-toes across the table with a prospect, I know I got to put the cards in my favor. I mean, studies have shown that taller people and good-looking people, neither of which I am or have ever been, do better in sales, do better in persuasion. It's just a fact, proven over the probably of all time. And so here's Zelensky, who is short. I don't know. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that. I don't look at guys for how good looking, but I think he's pretty good looking. I didn't think of that part. But he's definitely short in stature, and especially standing next to Trump. And I don't know about J.D. Vance. I only saw him sitting down, and I don't pay enough attention to remember how tall he is standing up or whatever. But, I've been the smallest person in the room. I got to stack the deck. That's even more important that I got to dress the part. If you are extremely young, I have coached many consultants over the years that were very young and said, Steve, or how am I target market? How are people your age, 40 at the time, 40, 50-year-old, 20, 30-year veteran business people going to listen to what I have to say? I'm just a 21-year-old kid. I'm like, okay, great, but you have great ideas. You have great advice. But it's going to help you to dress the part. So if you are, whatever disadvantage you feel you have, young, short, bald, ugly, I got them all. Well, not the young anymore, but I've been there with all these. One thing you can do is certainly dress up to be more impressive, to portray more authority, more respect, more presence in the room. That's something that's short. Again, any disadvantaged person, short, ugly, too young to be believed, any of that stuff. You want to stack the deck in your favor, which Zelensky did not do. You want to have your body language. Zelensky sat there argumentatively, arms crossed, and it didn't dress the part. It looked like he was in his pajamas. Oh, I know, he's having solidarity with the troops. Well, how'd that work out for him? So go ahead and have solidarity all you want, but be smart enough and care enough about your people. Okay, the Ukrainian people, I say it a lot, that they deserve so much more. They deserve to have this war end. I know all the warmongers and all the military-industrial complex and Raytheon and all the arms dealers and all the paid-off Congress people, paid off by the lobbyists and this and that. And I know, Zelensky and all his oligarch, corrupt crony. I mean, it's really a question, which country is more corrupt, Ukraine or the U.S.? They're both massively corrupt. And so all those corrupt crony warmongers that live off, the U.S. is certainly a war-based economy, they want the war to continue. Trump pretty much standing alone against all those interests, but along with the people. The majority of the people of America want the war to end because our money's going overseas. Why doesn't it go to, like, as if we don't have a lot of problems here that we can take care of? Not to mention we're like 35 bazillion, trillion, something ridiculous dollars in debt and going up every day. What the heck? But also the Ukrainian people. Come on, not to mention the Russian people, but the Ukrainian people themselves, come on, do you really think they want to continue having their cities bombed and having their young men, their finest, go off to war and get maimed and shot and killed and whatever? I mean, it's just, it's enough. I mean, everyone wants this to end except the powers that be that have a vested interest in war continuing, which unfortunately, I think peace is not the norm in the world. Like, war is the norm. That somewhere, sometime, especially for the U.S., we're somewhere involved in a war. And for a minority of the time, at least in modern America, we are not involved in war. That's a shame. I personally hope the war ends. Of course, I hope it ends in favor of Ukraine, the oppressed. 3 of my 4 grandparents were from Ukraine, so I could be considered Ukrainian American by heritage. But regardless, I'm a human being. I'm not in favor of aggressive rolling tanks into somebody else's country to take over the territory, blah, blah, blah. It's clear who I'm rooting for, but doesn't matter who I'm rooting for or who I want to win. Again, the only winners are the people, the warmongers, that feed through power and money off war. The people involved in war, of course, lose. So I'm with Trump. Wow, that's even hard for me to say, but on some things, I guess, I'm with Trump. And in this case, I'm with him. I want the war to end, so I wish that Zelensky, and I hope next time he has enough sense to do everything he can when he's in the presence of Donald Trump, and he needs to persuade Trump to do something. And that includes not dressing like a clown, not acting like a 5-year-old, not being argumentative, and all that kind of stuff. And that'll do it for Topical Tuesday, March 11th, 2025, as the sun has set and the darkness creeps in. I wish you adieu. Have a fantastic evening, night, morning, wherever you are in the world. Thanks for being here today or watching on the replay, and I will catch you tomorrow on Wizardry Wednesday. Tomorrow will mark the end of 8 straight years of me posting a new message to my blog, my podcast, to YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, you name it, all over the place. 8 straight years, every single day, God willing. Tomorrow will conclude the 8 straight years. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye.